can turn it down so low that you can barely hear it. Then we can turn it back up and mess around with the bass line. Or we can crank up the treble.
Oh my God.
We can even make your radio sound like a broken CD. We are in total charge. We are in complete control. We are
Reality Check Live.
Reality Check Live with Carrie Harrison.
And it is Reality Check Live, realitychecklive.org, where you can get a copy of this and a podcast of everything. Best way to do it, of course, is to download our free app, Reality Check Live.
It's
what is
free.
That called, Mercy Melon?
Reality Check Live, and it's free.
And how much does it cost at the Apple Store?
As a matter of fact, nothing, not one slim dime, just free to you.
Free to you, Reality Check Live app, and we're going to have some giveaways coming up down the road, and they're all going to be available almost exclusively through there. You can also watch us live right now, live streaming in our beautiful cartoon fish tank that we're sitting in, as we talk about a little bit about history. Now, we have holidays that come and go. There's Columbus Day, there's Christmas, there's Thanksgiving. They all mean something to somebody else. Columbus Day, which is in recent memory, it might even be now by the time you're listening to this, it is now a regional holiday. It used to be a national holiday. Well, it turns out that the original residents of this continent didn't find that getting a dose of syphilis and the end of a gun barrel was such a fun time. Of course, we're not really taught in history that they have these grievances, but alas, we want to bring a little enlightenment to you today. Plus, we're going to take your calls. Right, Mercy?
We are.
Get that expression.
I'm thinking about Columbus, and it's giving me a little bit of a nausea combined with flames on the side of my face.
There was a guy, there was somebody famous. I grew up half in Florida, and they have something called Gasparilla. Some people have heard of it. It's like Mardi Gras in Tampa Bay.
It sounded like a horror convention to me, like, Gasparilla, come on down, and Gasparilla. Yeah. That's not what it was?
A lot of whores, that's for sure. And they actually allow drinking in the streets. It's pretty incredible.
Well, I'm from Vegas, so that doesn't really impress me.
Well, it's the South, so drinking in the streets, you get, hey, you, holding that cocktail. But except that it's legal during that. So Gasparilla celebrates Jose Gaspar and all these other ones, these pirates that came in and, raped and pillaged, for real. And so it's celebrated. And the women throw flowers at the men dressed as pirates who give a parade for themselves. And they come in a fake pirate ship. It looks totally real. It's actually towed by another boat because it's not So once a year, it's out in Tampa Bay. And the pirates reinvade the city. So there's drinking in the streets. Women must supplicate themselves. Today, now.
My jaw. Which perhaps some of the women make that comment as well. Can you expand on that a little bit, Carrie Harrison? In what manner must they supplicate themselves?
So they're not allowed to ride on the pirate ship because they are women, and it's a men's day, really.
Oh.
It's to celebrate the patriarchy and the fact that men pirates came in and conquered all of the icky indigenous people who were clueless and not very good Christians, to be honest.
But Carrie Harrison, that's a local celebration, right? Not a federal national holiday. Am I right?
It's local.
Yeah.
But everything is local. And you just assume it's like that everywhere. And of course, once they got rid of all the indigenous people, they made Tampa Bay safe for logging. So all that beautiful cypress was then able to be turned into beautiful coffee tables and porches.
As it should be, according to them.
Yeah,
yes.
According to them. So we're going to get into this in a minute. We're also going to take your calls. I don't even know what the number is. We're going to find that out in just a minute. We'll let you know. But we want to bring you first something really, really cool. There was a historian, my favorite historian who ever lived. His name was Howard Zinn, Z-I-N-N. And some of you will have heard this name before. You will. You will have heard of Howard Zinn. He famously wrote a book called A People's History of the World. He also wrote another one called People's History of the United States and Voices of History. Here's why he was cool. Now, you and I, Mercy, I'm assuming you and I had more or less the same curriculum in school.
I'm quite certain we did not, because I was raised by kind of anarchist nuns, and that's not the same as your prep school.
That's exactly correct. In my prep school, like Kavanaugh, except different. Well, probably not that different then, although I did not ever do anything when somebody said no. I can tell you that's for sure.
And that's the line, friends. That's the line.
It's the line. As a matter of fact, today, it's sometimes, people really want you to be a little more aggressive, but I am very careful. I'm telling. It's not for politically correct reasons. It's just human respect, because you just don't know until you know somebody well. That sounds like I'm hooking up.
That's okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
We're
not here to judge on anything consensual. Consensual.
That's the nice thing about we're not here to judge, because you and I together can't judge me.
I'm not sure I understand, but I'm just going to say yes.
Yes. Good. I get another yes vote.
All right. I vote yes.
All right. So back to Howard Zinn. Howard Zinn died about 4 years ago at 85 or 86, astonishingly swimming in a pool at the Lowe's Hotel in Santa Monica, California.
Actually did not know that
He was
detail.
fit as a fiddle. This guy was about 6'2". He was a stud. And he was no milquetoast, by the way.
No.
He was a guy who, hold on just a second, I'm just going to move this over here. That's the sound of me moving it over there. He was, he wrote all these books, and he wrote it from the perspective of the vanquished, not the conqueror. So the reason I asked Mercy Malik, hey, we probably had the same curriculum, was as simple as this. I was taught, George Washington rode the Potomac, blah, blah, blah. The Indians were in the way because manifest destiny meant that we good Christian folks had to ride in our covered wagons to go west to conquer it and make it safe for whatever.
We didn't get quite that. No,
we got that.
We got something different.
This is what we believe. So what Howard Zinn did is he found, get this, the diary entries of Christopher Columbus.
Yes.
He found the diaries, such as they were, of Geronimo and people like that, and tells the history from the other side, not my people that own the printing presses. Why, what a victory. Today we were able to shove a Supreme Court right up the country's wazoo. The history will say the American people rose and spoke loudly, and the Senate nervously approved Judge Kavanaugh.
I hope it doesn't, Carrie Harrison. I hope history vindicates this period of time.
I got to say, it's going to have to be a long history from now, or maybe history in Europe.
I'm gonna jump in Carrie Harrison and I do not always agree on this program, and that's why it's a lovely thing to listen to, because you get to hear us kind of like go at it from time to time. If you're watching online right now, you can see my fists waving around, but we're not physically violent people. We just wish things upon others. Just kidding. Yeah. Just kidding. I am of the very firm opinion, and for anyone who follows me on any online outlet knows, that prognostication that this is going to be a long, sad, terrible haul and we all need to bail, etc., will be a self-fulfilling prophecy. So if you believe that the bad guys are taking over and, oh, well, we just better give up and all flee to Canada, then that is exactly what's going to happen. The bad guys are going to continue to take over. If you believe in getting out there and fighting and changing things right now today, as in the next election on which you can cast a vote, then there'll be a different outcome.
Okay. I vote yes for that. And as a matter of fact, I fully agree with you, Mercy.
Well, thank you.
You wanted a fight. You were picking a fight.
I don't like fights. I'm a Pisces. I don't believe in them.
I'm a double Virgo with feces rising.
That's why we get along so well.
Exactly
I'm used to wallowing around in the feces.
Rising.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah, flip sign. Pisces and Virgo. Yes. Little astrological time here on the reality check.
So let's see. Turn myself.
Can we go back to Columbus now?
Is that a little better? There we go. I put up my gain. I was a little low. Yes. Okay. Excellent. So when we come back in just a moment, we are going to play you an interview with Howard Zinn. These are very, very rare. Very, very rare. And we also have several Hollywood movie stars that have lent their voice in this little mini interview that we put together for you, and they're going to play the characters from history, including Columbus and such, to lay out the other side of history you were never taught. If that isn't good, clean fun, absolutely nothing is. And it's kind of coming. What am I trying to say, honey?
I think you intend to say it's coming up right now. Is that true?
RCL Traffic Tracker.
I'm Anita Caliberry with your Reality Check Live NBC Traffic Tracker. In San Bernardino on the 215 northbound south of Orange Show Road, there's a traffic hazard slowing traffic. Moving on to Los Angeles area on the 10 eastbound at Vincent Avenue, the stalled car is blocking the middle lane. Traffic is backed up to Puente Avenue. On the 45 northbound at Seal Beach Boulevard, an earlier stall is cleared. Traffic is still backed up. Also on the 45 northbound at MacArthur Boulevard, an earlier stall has been cleared. In Central LA on the 10 westbound, just east of Olympic Boulevard, a stalled car is blocking the middle lane. In Altadena on the 210 westbound at Ocean View Boulevard, a non-injury two-car crash has been reported. The accident has been cleared to the right shoulder. In the West Valley on the 101 westbound at Valley Circle Boulevard, a crash has been reported. No further details yet. In Central LA on the 5 southbound, just north of Indiana Street, seems like some metal debris is blocking lane number 1. And on the 45 southbound at Crenshaw Boulevard, a stalled car is blocking the carpool lane. Traffic is backed up to El Segundo Boulevard. With your Reality Check Live NBC Traffic Tracker, I'm Anita Caliberry.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
RCL Traffic Tracker. Reality Check Live
Traffic Tracker.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
News. Reality Check Recap.
For Reality Check Live, I'm Mercy Malik, and this is your American Minute. Recent lawsuits filed by undocumented immigrants held in multiple federal detention centers across the nation detail horrific treatment that plaintiffs say contribute to a rash of suicides at the facilities. The Associated Press reports that suits filed in California and Oregon allege that centers there kept detainees in the same soiled clothing for up to 3 weeks at a time, refused access to attorneys, and denied religious freedoms by preventing access to Christian Bibles and Sikh religious turbans. The LA Times reports that a separate privately owned facility that contracts with the U.S. government to house detainees was recently lambasted by the Department of Homeland Security after a surprise inspection found multiple nooses hanging in cells, as well as chronic denial of desperately needed medical and dental care. The same center has experienced an epidemic of attempted and completed suicides, including one man who took his own life after being sexually assaulted and was then denied medical treatment when he reported the attack. You can follow me on social media at The Actual Mercy. For Reality Check Live, I'm Mercy Malik.
Recap. Reality Check Live.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
RCL
And now a special commentary from our friend Lee Camp, who's seen nightly on the RT network. He's going to take a peek at that big swamp known as the Gulf of Mexico.
So you may have heard about the red tide going on in Florida. It's a type of microscopic algae that kills most everything in its path. And nothing says bring the kids down for some fun in the sun, like tons of rotting fish filled with neurotoxins on the coast of a state filled with idiots. I'm kidding, Florida. I love you.
I grew up there.
Oh, did you? Yeah, but it's okay. I love Florida. And actually, my grandparents were there. But meanwhile, the state government right now is trying to both warn people about red tide and yet play it down at the same time. They say, quote, swimming is safe for most people. However, the red tide can cause some to suffer skin irritation and burning eyes. Great. May cause a rash and burning eyes, but dive on in and see what happens. Listen, the only activity I treat like that is Tinder dates, all right? Nothing else. And the corporate media aren't talking about the human causes of red tide. Governor Rick Scott doesn't want you to know that he and his corporate buddies helped create it. According to the Florida Phoenix, 8 years ago, 3 key state leaders, including Governor Scott, fought bitterly against stricter limits for the very pollution that's now sliming South Florida. Now, some people have tried to say red tide is naturally occurring. And yes, some of it is naturally occurring. But so is anthrax and radiation and genital warts and Ebola, meteors, volcanic eruptions, grizzly bears, explosive diarrhea, the gout, root canals, rageaholic police officers, ingrown butt hairs, lice, ticks, snakes, rickets, and Rush Limbaugh. They're all naturally occurring.
Well, right. We don't need to say more on that.
Yeah. Just because something is natural doesn't mean it can't be weaponized by psychopaths and the corporations they're funded by. And here's back to the Florida Phoenix, quote, red tide is a natural occurrence, but the polluted agricultural runoff supercharges it. It wouldn't be this big or this prevalent without big ag pollution. And one other thing that both Florida authorities and the media keep hitting home is red tide was documented way back, as far back as the 1700s. Just because something existed a long time ago doesn't mean it's okay. There was a naturally occurring organism first spotted in Florida way back in 1513 that then grew out of control and killed almost all the Native Americans. It's called the white man. All right? That's
those Seminoles, though, they have. You can really buy cheap cigarettes there.
They won on the cigarette front. They did. But basically I'm saying Ponce de Leon was the first neurotoxin. But long story short, I'll wrap up here. The waters off Florida are awful and dangerous, and millions of wildlife have been killed, and the size of this red tide is not naturally occurring. Florida is a petri dish of runaway, unfettered corporatism. We will continue to see this everywhere. Eco-disasters based on a system that puts profit over all else. Instead of doing it that way, maybe our beaches should have a right to life, and our rivers should have a right to life, and our forests should have a right to life. We have the ability to create a sustainable world, and we're running out of time to demand it.
I have a heart on. That was terrific.
That's a good time, and thank you so much for coming up with this idea.
Lee Camp can be seen nightly on the RT News Channel.
Listen, well, it's still legal. Reality Check Live.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
Reality Check Live with Kerry Harrison.
And it is Reality Check Live, realitychecklive.org, where you can get a copy of this and any other broadcast, not to mention, of course, podcasts. We're going to have some giveaways. We're going to have some trips. It's going to be cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. That I promise you. You can also listen to this show and every other show we've ever done, Mercy Malik, by doing what good behavior?
Giving to the poor.
Yes. And going to the Apple Store and downloading our free app, Reality Check Live.
Wait, is that app free?
It's free. It's our favorite price. And here's the better part. That is the better part.
That is fantastic.
But you have to put in Reality Check Live. The live is key because there's a lot of reality checks out there. So Reality Check Live, and then you'll be automatically in the mix to get all the goods and mojo. And we're also going to probably have a nice announcement next week. One of us is pregnant.
It's not me.
Okay. Well, it must be me.
No, definitely. No, please.
All
no.
right. No, I'm just kidding.
People are going to go nuts on that,
I'm just
Gary.
cabining you, honey. Just cabining.
If I were ever pregnant, I would hope that it was kittens or puppies.
Ooh, puppies. They'd be good looking, wouldn't they?
Wait, no, just to be clear,
yes.
I do not now, nor have I ever engaged in bestiality. That was a joke for cat and dog lovers out there about how cute puppies and kittens are.
And I neither confirm nor deny any bestiality. All right, back to Howard Zinn. We have this really cool piece of audio. It's short, it's about 5 minutes. Interview with Howard Zinn before he died, the radical historian, who is the first and only guy in the United States to have ever published a history book that tells the story of the vanquished versus the conqueror. So these would be the actual stories that Sitting Bull and others told of what it was like to have my people come in their covered wagons, screaming and yelling, firing guns at them.
So, Carrie, when you say radical historian, you mean accurate historian,
yes,
is that right?
But in the United States, you call it a radical historian, and here's why. Did you know that your historical textbooks are governed by an organization that happens to be a nonprofit called the Institute for Historical Review in Texas?
Yes, not historical accuracy, but historical review.
In Texas. And they decide what's in and what's not. For instance, European history is not taught in public schools anymore. Why? Because it's not patriotic.
Massive sigh.
And it was the Institute for Historical Review, or whatever it's called, which was sued in about 1978 by a guy named Mel Mermelstein. And it went to the Supreme Court, and they realized that it should not be legal to deny the Holocaust ever happened. He was a Holocaust denier. Survivor. Oh, it's so hard to tell nowadays.
So, just to be clear, this organization was trying to refute the truth of the Holocaust, and this man brought a lawsuit because of that.
I'm going to give you an example.
Please.
I was not taught about the Holocaust.
Stop it.
Not even mentioned. Didn't even hear the word. Didn't even know what it meant until college.
My.
Yep.
Oh, my.
Nothing. Zero. World War II was the Axis and the Allies. It was Mussolini and Hitler. It was the Japanese and Pearl Harbor. And that's it.
I'm actually shocked by that. I'm genuinely shocked.
Yep.
This is a new piece of information to me.
Yep. And I was in Switzerland, so a slight, well, it's still perverse. It's sort of a free pass because it's not on U.S. soil. But this guy, this survivor from Auschwitz, wrote this book by Bread Alone and sued this Institute for Historical Review in Texas. And the Supreme Court said you have to include the Holocaust as being real in history books. So that's why it is now ubiquitous in history books. A perversion. So this is a perfect lead-in to Howard Zinn. Here's a guy who told these stories forever, going all the way back probably to the 1950s. Howard Zinn was a historian, a playwright, a social activist, and he co-authored a book called Voices of a People's History of the United States and a People's History of the United States, among many, 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 many others, like You Can't Be Neutral on a Moving Train, A Personal History of Our Times. It is now the personal current part of our times. You cannot be neutral on a moving train.
You cannot be neutral now.
Now, was Howard Zinn a weak washcloth, a puss?
Quite the contrary.
Comes from pusillanimous, by the way.
Oh.
Yes, it does not mean what everyone thinks it means.
Really?
It comes from the French pusillanimous.
How interesting.
That's right.
Some people use the polysyllabic version, however, which is unambiguous in its intention.
Indeed.
Yes.
So this is why we love our etymologies here. New words from Uncle Harry. Well, Howard Zinn flew bombing missions with the 490th Bomb Group in Europe during World War II. And what did he do? Some people want to go see the results of their handiwork. He went back to Japan and saw what he had done. And bomber pilots were not told what they were actually dropping. they were not, because, it wasn't a democracy. Like, you can rethink this proposition. No, you follow orders. You drop what's given you.
That's what being in the military is.
Yes, and he had devastated parts of Japan. So he'd gone back and started to gather the history of the people who had been bombed. Of course, World War II is over, so, the Marshall Plan has kicked in, and this was the beginning of this. And he found out there was a whole new world of information. He was actively involved in the civil rights movement in Atlanta as a Spelman College professor. And now with our new openly Republican and openly partisan Supreme Court justice. I'm not making this up.
No.
Openly. Imagine.
You're not making it up.
Who said what goes around comes around. So it's going to go around for another 40 years, and he's going to be coming around back at you. That's for sure. Unless people vote.
Not necessarily.
Yes.
That's right. If you don't like this idea, get out there and do something about it, and we'll do an entire show on exactly what you can do about it. But today we're talking about Indigenous peoples and their mutilation. Keep going. But I digress.
All right.
Go.
So let's just do it. So here it is, the late Howard Zinn. We talked to him. This was a few years ago before he died. Plus, we had some cool Hollywood movie stars from right here in town read portions, sort of reenact them out of his people's history of the United States. It's awesome.
Preventing truth decay.
Truth decay.
Reality check live.
History repeats itself.
It's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Repeats itself.
Howard Zinn, author of the classic A People's History of the United States, which has sold over 1 million copies in its 25 years in print, and the recent follow-up Voices of a People's History of the United States with Anthony Arnove, and of course Professor Zinn's most recent book, Original Zinn, Conversations on History and Politics.
Hi, how you doing?
Well, I have to tell you, it is 81 degrees Fahrenheit in Los Angeles today.
Oh, you're really making me envious.
And sunblock is indicated. Well, I wanted to congratulate you on your historical art form once again taking life tomorrow here in Los Angeles. We've got this really exciting event where Hollywood's finest progressive celebrities are going to be able to read segments from your Voices of a People's History of the United States, and a whole bunch of amazing speeches and letters, poems, songs, petitions, manifestos, all from people throughout U.S. history who struggled against slavery and racism, war, oppression, exploitation, and all these actors like Benjamin Bratt and
If you're behind, and you know you're behind in your savings, you know you're behind from retirement, you haven't got enough retirement money, you're getting worried, and nobody helped you today. Did anybody help you today? Were you able to go to your mobile device today and say, what should I do with my stock? Did anybody? Did he do a video for you today 3 times during the day, tell you exactly what to do with the stocks we're in? No. Now, when you join the gang, you can decide what you want to participate in. You can have the full schooling where you come to our class on a daily basis. That's done over the internet, of course. Or if you're a person that says, I just want you to make money for me because I don't have time to learn, and I have a program for that. And that's called my video stock program. So when the market goes up, you're going to make money. When the market goes down, you're going to make money.
Join Phil's Gang today and go to philsgang.com or call 877-600-GANG. That's 877-600-4264.
Listen, can you hear it? Listen to the eerie sound of silence from the trumpeteers and congressional Republicans who so loudly cheered themselves just a year ago for bestowing a $1 trillion tax giveaway on corporate elites. They told us they did it not for the rich, but to help the middle class and poor families. How would enriching the already rich benefit the rest of us? Trickle-down economics 101, said Trump and company, explaining that giving more money to elites would spark, quote, an immediate jump in wage growth, because CEOs would use their bonanza to reward workers for their productivity. The White House even got specific, declaring that average pay would jump as much as $9,000 per person. But here we are in the thick of the 2018 congressional elections, and shh, silence. Not a single lawmaker who voted for this grand ideological promise, much less running ads.
America. Let's hear a scene in which Mark Ruffalo, who told me last night that he was an official Harrison Hellraiser, in this he plays Eugene V. Debs, a name in history that we're not taught about, and for obvious reasons.
Every solitary one of these aristocratic conspirators and would-be murderers claims to be an arch-patriot. Every one of them insists that the war is being waged to make the world safe for democracy. What humbug! What rot! What false pretense! Wars throughout history have been waged for conquest and plunder. They have always taught and trained you to believe it to be your patriotic duty to go to war and to have yourselves slaughtered at their command. But in all the history of the world, you, the people, have never had a voice in declaring war.
Professor Howard Zinn here with us on Harrison on the Edge on KTLK AM 1150, LA's progressive talk station. He speaks with us from his home on the Cape. He's wearing his Dr. Denton's jammies and is the man behind Voices of a People's History that was narrated by Anthony Arnove last night and featured a variety of different Hollywood progressives. Now more than ever, using a Nixon term, now more than ever, do we need to have this stuff out there so we can see where we've been, where we're going, and what it's looking like in the future. And yesterday I had almost a Jeffersonian prolapse when the presidents signed this executive order making himself an even greater gatekeeper when it comes to public health and the environment and safety. And, oh, my God.
We are seeing exactly what George Washington wanted to avoid when he refused to become a kind of monarch, when he stepped down after 2 terms. And Washington wanted us not to have a ruler who would be all-powerful. And what Ford is doing is he has usurped all the powers that the Constitution has given to Congress and to the people. And I guess we will just have to take it back in whatever way we can.
History repeats itself.
It's all just a little bit of history repeating.
Harrison on the Edge.
Harrison on the Edge.
Harrison on the Edge.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
Reality Check Live.
Carrie Harrison here with you, along with Mercy Malik. This is Reality Check, realitychecklive.org. Don't forget, you can download our free app at the App Store, Reality Check Live, where you can get every single program for free. And you get to hear Mercy's wonderful Reality Check recaps if you want to know what's going on in the world. In fact, there's one coming up in just a moment that, let me say, that one really got me.
The last one.
About going to sleep.
Oh, the sleep one? Yeah. Oh, it's useful news for anyone who's ever experienced anything upsetting. Not I, certainly.
Yeah.
Not you.
So we just heard from Howard Zinn. We just heard some of our L.A. Hollywood friends are doing some reenactments out of there. And it's wonderful to hear the unofficial history. It ought to be the official history. And by the way, in Europe, though I said Howard Zinn was bombing in Europe, he was bombing in Japan. You corrected me during that.
I inquired for clarification.
Yes.
That's my.
Yes, you inquired. Inquiring minds.
I'm an active listener, and
Yes,
I ask
you
for
are.
clarification.
Yes, you are. When Europeans have the history that you just heard, they're taught that. They're actually taught both sides. We're taught one side minus everything else nowadays. So when you want to find out what's going on, you actually have to dig deep. And sorry about that, but just the way it goes. And we are here trying to prevent truth decay, so we will always bring you more and more of that. Speaking of bringing you more and more of that,
RCL Traffic Tracker.
The stolen car is blocking lanes. Also in San Bernardino on the 10 westbound east of Pepper Avenue, looks like some small dogs are in traffic lanes. Moving on to Los Angeles area, the 405 southbound at Crenshaw Boulevard, an earlier stalled car is blocking the carpool lane. Traffic is backed up to El Segundo Boulevard. In Santa Fe Springs, on the 91 eastbound, just east of Calamita Road, a two-car crash is blocking lanes. No further details yet. In the West Valley, on the 405 southbound, just south of Victory Boulevard, a tire is blocking the carpool lane. In Central LA, on the 101 northbound, just south of Melrose Avenue, a non-injury two-car crash has been reported. Also in Central LA, on the 5 southbound, south of Colorado Boulevard, a non-injury crash has been reported. Traffic has been cleared to the right shoulder. With your Reality Check Live NBC Traffic Tracker, I'm Anita Cowett-Barry.
Reality Check Live.
Traffic Tracker.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
News.
Reality Check Recap.
For Reality Check Live, I'm Mercy Malik, and now your Science Minute, somewhat related. It is commonly believed that immediately after receiving bad news or experiencing any sort of traumatic situation, a good way of dealing with it is to go to sleep. But turns out that is the worst decision you can make. National Geographic reports that recent sleep studies bolster the idea that the brain cements things seen and heard shortly before slumber and assigns them extra importance, which is good if you're trying to memorize or learn a new skill, but also can increase the likelihood of post-traumatic stress disorder if sleep follows too closely upon upsetting events. Researchers at UCLA determined, for example, that soldiers returning from traumatic missions displayed lower rates of PTSD when they were kept awake for 6 to 8 hours following the event. Moral of the story, when something bad goes down, talk it out, people. You can follow me on social media at The Actual Mercy. For Reality Check Live, I'm Mercy Malik.
Recap. Reality Check Live.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
RCL.
I love everything about the fall season. The changing of the colors, getting out my boots and scarves, and everything pumpkin scented.
Introducing new Charmin Pumpkin Spice. Every single piece of Charmin Pumpkin Spice toilet paper has that unmistakable scent of autumn.
Are you talking to me? I'm not sure why, but I'm just dreaming about the fall season all of a sudden.
That's weird.
I swear I smell pumpkin. Did you spray something?
No.
Oh my God, it's even stronger now. What did you do?
Nothing.
Wait, you were just in the bathroom. Did you open that new pumpkin spice, Charmin?
No.
Oh God, Bill. How much did you use, for God's sakes?
New Charmin Pumpkin Spice. It'll wipe the smile right off her face.
Great, Bill. Now you've managed to ruin fall.
Reality Check Live with Carrie Harrison.
That's right. This is Reality Check Live, realitychecklive.org. You can also download our free app at the App Store, Reality Check Live. Sitting next to the beautiful, the lovely, the pulchritudinous Mercy Malik. And we were just going to comment a little bit on the vaunted Christopher Columbus, whom we all, as children, except for Mercy, were you with your enlightened raising.
The poor kids sometimes get information that the rich kids don't, apparently.
You know, this wonderful man came over and found this joint and established a foothold from which we could then build our empire upon, and he was a saint.
What actually he was not a saint, although yes, an explorer. We're usually told that, but other things that he was far more prolifically and successfully were a sadist, a pedophile, a murderer, a torturer, a slave trader, and a child sex trafficker specializing in children ages 9 and 10. Those are from his own writings, people. That's not something that us lefties made up to tarnish the image of a fabulous figure from history. No, this guy was so bad. Joseph Mengele bad. Pol Pot bad.
Pol Pot bad.
Pol Pot
How
bad.
bad?
Pol Pot bad. Sincerely, these are things we probably shouldn't even read on air, although I sure would love to. The detailed, horrendous sadism that this man engaged in, and the thousands upon thousands upon thousands of murders that he directly ordered or did by hand. Crazy, horrible. It's not that I don't want to. I really want to. I want to say on air what this guy did, but you know what? You can just Google it because it's out there. Just Google his own diaries. He details with pride how he mutilated people and terrorized them and wiped out all 3 million original residents of the Bahamian island on which he landed.
Well,
how's that?
You know,
I just had to rub my nose to show how serious I am. If you're watching online, I'm not going to rub my nose because it's all
now
true.
There are beautiful resorts covering Nassau, really, with some even have saltwater pools. That's the new thing. You can always get a fabulous lobster. They're a little smaller than the northern ones in Maine.
They're different.
The Bahamian lobsters.
Mm-hmm.
But if Christopher Columbus hadn't done that, you wouldn't have a resort owned by Merv Griffin to go and get a tan.
So Carrie Harrison is kidding right now, but people say this with honesty. People really say, well, it was all for the best, because we're talking about genocide. And not to say like, oh, you can do genocide in a kind way, but really when you look at what this man did, his own reports of what he did, you will not find something more horrifying. And in fact, several men that worked directly under his what would you say?
Tutelage?
I was actually going to say tutelage. How did you read my mind? That doesn't even make any sense. Why did we both come up with tutelage? I don't know. A few of his underlings were so horrified by what they saw. I want to read a quote here from one particular, let's find the name. Why didn't I have it prepped? Bartolome de las Casas. This guy was so scarred by what he witnessed Columbus doing and ordering that he left, went back to Spain, became a Catholic priest in an attempt to, no jokes, that's what he thought would help him atone, right? And he wrote, "My eyes have seen acts so foreign to human nature that now I tremble as I write. Such inhumanities and barbarisms were committed in my sight as no age can parallel." No age. I mean, this is nasty, like.
We're talking about evisceration.
Wait, little children running away. If they ran away because they're trying to harvest them to sell them as sex slaves, if they ran from them, they would catch them and chop their legs off. Yep.
And women that were pregnant were made as examples to other women, especially if they were pregnant. They were slit open and relieved of the burden of that pregnancy.
Yes.
And other women saw it, who of course were shackled or had their hands held, so that they knew what the deal was. So this is Christopher Columbus.
Yep.
About whom, and now we're in Los Angeles right now. We're actually sitting in Marilyn Monroe's very first apartment.
Yeah.
Marilyn Monroe has nothing to do with Columbus, but the city.
We need to lighten it up a little bit.
The city in which we sit only half celebrates Columbus Day. It has made huge strides to keep banks open and to not celebrate this. And I believe the city council has made it Indigenous Peoples Day.
In Los Angeles, we celebrate Indigenous Peoples Day officially. Yet another reason that I am a true and eternal lover of the city of Los Angeles. Because who can celebrate a man who literally, when the dogs that he used to mutilate the natives were hungry, had his soldiers go and get babies and feed them to the dogs. That's how they fed the dogs that they were then going to use to tear up the adults. They fed them human babies, y'all. And I'm not even telling you the grossest part. Y'all, I'm going to get real with you, y'all. That's what happened. I'm not even telling you the most horrifying things because who knows who's listening. But if you want to read them, you can find them out. That's all
Mildred
I'm saying.
Is listening.
Oh,
my God.
Yeah, she's written in already.
Yeah, that's true.
But kids, this is the
you
thing.
Can send us emails. We love them, by the way. We should do our mailbag next week.
Oh, let's.
Yes.
Oh, fantastic.
You were saying, Marcy.
Yeah. If you need more, you can look it up anywhere because guess what? We're not making it up. Christopher Columbus, very carefully detailed all of these atrocities himself with great pride and relish, including the sales of young children, girls and boys, at 9 and 10 years old. Those were, quote unquote, the most popular ages for sex slavery. This is the guy that has been given a United States of America holiday to celebrate him. If you don't like that, do something about it. We did here in Los Angeles. You can too.
And you can celebrate this.
RCL Traffic Tracker.
I'm Anita Calaberry with your Reality Check Live NBC Traffic Tracker. In San Bernardino, on the 60 westbound, east of Grove Avenue, a short car is blocking the second lane from the left. Moving on to Los Angeles area in East LA on the 710 northbound, just north of Imperial, a non-injury hit-and-run accident has been reported. In Central LA on the 5 southbound, south of Colorado Boulevard, another accident has been reported. And in West LA on the 105 westbound at Culverton Boulevard, a non-injury crash has been reported. With your Reality Check Live and NBC Traffic Tracker, I'm Anita Calaberry.
Reality Check Live
Traffic Tracker.
Do you use the expensive blue or yellow pills to charge your sex life? Are you thinking about it? What if we can promise you the same results for less than $3 a pill? If you're paying $20 a pill for the other pills, you're getting taken to the cleaners. Our pills deliver the exact same results for less than $3. You'll save more than $16 a pill for the same results. And right now, radio callers will get 44 blue or yellow pills for $120 with free discreet shipping. You can save more than $700 off pharmacy prices. Charge your sex life now and save a ton of money. Call now and get your 44 pills and save over $700 and qualify for free shipping. Stop overpaying and call right now.
800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. 800-814-5188. That's 800-814-5188.
Reality Check News Bites.
An SUV limousine carrying 18 people careened off a New York State highway near Albany.
Everyone inside the limousine was killed.
And another 2 pedestrians.
Michael is making its way over the Caribbean and appears to be heading for the U.S. Gulf Coast.
Huge victory for the president and conservatives. Brett Kavanaugh is now a U.S. Supreme Court justice, sworn in by Chief Justice John Roberts.
Ultimate fighting match lasted 4 rounds, but the real fireworks started after it was over.
Oh, and Alchemy jumps the fence.
No.
Whoa!
The brawl shows Nurmagomedov leaping into the crowd toward men in McGregor's corner. Nurmagomedov's multi-million-dollar purse now being withheld pending an investigation.
A popular Spider-Man villain managed to scare up some big bucks at the box office this weekend. Venom nabbed the #1 spot with an estimated $80 million haul.
At a Sotheby's auction in London, a painting by that mysterious street artist Banksy sold for $1.4 million. But moments into the final sale, the artwork began to self-destruct. It passed through a shredder that was hidden in the frame.
Reality Check Live.
Now you can support this public radio program with a single click and get a tax deduction. Make a small donation now at mypublicmedia.org.
Yes, we drank beer. I liked beer. Still like beer.
And I like beer.
Yeah, we drank beer.
It makes me a jolly good fellow. I like beer.
Sometimes too many beers.
Yes,
We like beer.
Judge Kavanaugh, thank you very much. Hearing adjourned.
Reality Check Live with Kerry Harrison.
You can always go to realitychecklive.org. Shoot us an email. Next week, we're going to do our email mailbag. It'll be our first time, and they have filed I and D. It's time to deliver some of the love that we receive, and some of it is actually love.
Some of it's love.
Some of it is unloved. But that's okay. That's why we're here.
Shows that we're touching a nerve.
That's right. When in doubt, touch my nerve. Keep touching it. Right there.
Oh, you're nervy, Carrie Harrison.
Speaking of Christopher Columbus, you like that segue?
Yeah, that was perfect.
Total collision there.
No, touch my nerve, etc.
There was more to this wonderful man in history. Even more. We were just talking about it.
He didn't spend all of his time mutilating children and selling them into sex slavery?
No, he did other things.
Wow. Where did he ever find the time?
He brought spirochetes to the New World.
I don't know what a spirochete is.
Spirochete is the thing that they commonly treat you with penicillin for.
Oh, I thought it was a bird of some sort.
It's it's a very sick parakeet. Trust me on that one. You don't want a spirochete. Yes, the spirochetal bliss, which wiped out something like 80% of the remaining population. So that which was not at the unhappy end of a sword or a knife or a stick received the spirochetal charm.
Felled by pestilence.
Yes, because they knew that, well, they didn't know that they had it because they didn't even know what it was. In fact, think about it, until 1946, pretty much all of us died from the flu or anything.
Anything at all.
Yeah, anything at all.
Yeah, just a sneeze.
Another one of these graceful segues.
Yes.
As we take the last minute here. I have a wonderful drawing of the poet Boswell of England. He was best friends with Dr. Samuel Johnson, who wrote the first English dictionary. See, like 3 people are getting excited over this. One of them. 100,000 are going, huh? And Boswell, whose diaries were just released 10 years ago by the Brits, he used to do it on a bridge with hookers. And Johnson,
which is his right,
was a fundamentalist Catholic. But that said, Johnson's skull had 20 holes in it from spirochetes, from syphilis.
Oh, wait. Yeah. Spirochetes and syphilis are synonymous?
Yeah. Spirochetes
I missed that part.
Yes.
Okay.
I was being really clinical and polite. Really clinical and polite. But you can actually see what happens to the skull if it's left untreated.
Yeah.
Those holes right through the bone.
Yeah.
So the gift, the great gift of Columbus and company was bringing that to a place where they never had it before. So they had no immunological defense. They had certainly no condoms. And no concept of what it was.
No intention of doing so. They were raping.
But that's exactly how they got it.
Yeah.
It goes to show that it's not like the women are suddenly going to have it. Poof. Like you get it from holding hands. Nope. You get it from holding glands.
Yes. Going back to the fellow that I spoke about earlier, are we still? We haven't run. Have we run out? Are we gone?
Minute.
Okay.
1 minute.
Okay. The underling of Columbus's that I spoke of earlier, he said that in one day he saw. That's our shut up, Mercy. We don't want to hear any more about rape and mutilation.
Apple. We are out of time, honey.
We'll tell you next week.
Next week, same time, same station, and don't forget. Anything.
Don't forget anything.
I guess we're out.
Oh. All right.
Huh?
Well.
How do you like that?
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
NBC News Radio, I'm Brian